What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dawg Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo, and I am Jack's complete lack of surprise. We have got a fun show today. We've got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of new news actually kind of breaking as we speak that I am completely unshocked about with as it pertains to my Cleveland Browns. But we have got a ton of things to talk about. We got preseason, Myles Garrett and how fast he drives. Tom Brady got a statue. James Cook got a contract. Travis Kelce got Taylor Swift to join New Heights. I got to check out some of it. I have not watched the whole thing. It's a very insightful interview from the beginning parts of that I have seen so far. There's a lot of stuff in there. And we got NFL lawsuits as it pertains to Brian Flores. And we've got some extra or some new types of cheerleaders in the NFL. But with that, my man, Evo, welcome in, brother. How you doing? We had a lot of things to talk about, but I mean, I'm excited for the football portion, I think, the most, because I know that while we were watching our team's respective preseason games, you didn't get to see a lot. I got to see a ton. I love the things that I saw for my team. So when we get to that portion, I am absolutely pumped, ready to go, because, man, there's a big conversation that's taking place in Cleveland right now, and it almost always revolves around Shedeur Sanders and what's happening with that spot. But, brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. I'm tired. Like talking before the show, the monsoon schedule that I'm on right now is wearing on me. And then I'm also going through a little bit of tummy issues right now because I fucked up. I went and had some ramen that I made here at home, and for whatever reason, it was extremely ungodly spicy, way spicier than normal. Like the spiciest ramen I've ever had. It feels like it's ready to come out both ends. Like I'm just going through it right now internally. So that's fun. And I just want to make sure that everyone out there that watches is up to date and in tune with my bodily functions. So that way they know what sort of headspace I'm in when I possibly piss some people off today with different takes and comments on stuff. But no, man, I'm happy to be here. Happy that we are in football season. We are in the middle of preseason, which is awesome. Getting ready for some fantasy football coming up here very shortly. Super happy about all that.
Yeah, actually, very shortly. Hopefully I'm not getting scammed, but I just sent some money off to Josh Cribbs, so I'm going to try to play in his fantasy football league this year. As Raw Dawg Sports, you put out a thing on X, and it's like, hey, send emails in the DMs. Like, fuck it, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking cool. As long as you actually did it Raw Dawg Sports spelled how we have it spelled, because found out last night they're like we're trend setting. There's another Raw Dawg Sports out there, just spelled a little bit differently, and they started in August and have a very small amount of followers and stuff like that. And best of luck, I guess, to those guys for also wanting to be some raw dogs.
Welcome to Raw Dawg in it, boys.
Yeah, look, there's only so many names out there. I get that. We tried to do our due diligence before we went around to our kind of rebrand that we did a little while back. We asked that people try to do the same for us, but all is fair in love and war, and if we have to leverage the LLCs and stuff like that, we will. But
we'll hope maybe they'll generate a huge following, and then we'll ride their coattails.
Yeah, quite honestly, I feel like we should invite them on the show.
Agreed. We should definitely have them on the show. Raw Dawg to Raw Dawg.
Just make it real awkward, but yeah. Absolutely.
Oh man, brother. So where do we want to start today? Because we have got a lot of news kind of coming out as it pertains to the NFL. and the Browns. Do you want to get into football preseason? Do we need to talk about some contracts first? Because there are so many different nuances to what has happened over the last week. I mean, I'm getting pulled in 100 different ways. Where do you feel like is the best way to start this thing for the people?
Well, I think the best way to start this is by going with our unofficial sponsor. Make sure that we talk about that before we get too deep into all the fun of today's show, especially since, some of the topics on today's show are possibly going to rub people the wrong way, even though I think that we're you and I are both pretty open people about stuff, but we just got to keep things honest. But today's episode of Raw Dawg Sports, unfortunately, is brought to you by Aaron Rodgers. Recently, there's been an increasing amount of dildos being thrown onto WNBA courts, but one dildo that didn't make it out there was Aaron Rodgers. To do that, he'd have to climb out of his own ass, and then he'd need to have a general respect for women. And if you think that I'm off base with saying that he's not too kind to the fair sex, don't take my word for it. Just ask Shailene Woodley or Olivia Munn or Jessica Zor or Danica Patrick or Destiny Newton or Kelly Rohrback or Mallory Edens or Hillary Scott or Aaron Andrews or the purported witch Blue of Earth, and probably very soon his potentially fake wife, who we don't know anything about, of unknown origins, that he kind of says that he has now. Maybe found her in a darkness retreat. Not too sure. She might just be a ayahuasca vision. I don't know. But don't let this trail of carnage make you think that Aaron Rodgers isn't personable. You could just ask his family about how amazing of a guy he is. But actually, he doesn't speak to them at all anymore either, because he likes to fracture relationships and cause a lot of hate out there. But still, Aaron Rodgers isn't a bad guy, and hell, he's immunized to all your hate. If you too believe that 9/11 was fake or the Holocaust is a hoax, then we got the guy for you, Aaron Rodgers. All hail our Lord and Savior, Aaron Rodgers. Even when he's dead wrong, you know that he's right. And if you try to combat that with facts, you're just some sort of a corporate shill who has it out for him. Raw Dawg Sports is not an official sponsor of Aaron Rodgers because he's a big, big piece of shit and a terrible human being, and he's pretty bad at football. That's all I got.
Suck it, Aaron. I hope that you win the job, because apparently you look like the worst quarterback in their camp right now.
I think he's probably winning the job because everyone's staking their careers on
100%. He's going to win the job. He's going to start, but the reports are that he has been one of the worst quarterbacks at camp, that Mason Rudolph has outperformed him.
Dude, I love the videos out there of him doing the little jogging through pads type drill, and they're like, this dude looks all of being a 40-year-old. He's like, what, 41, 42, and he's just shuffling through like an old man through these pads.
Drugs start to wear your body out, and you don't get the same youthful vibrance when you start using drugs.
I don't know. But all I know is that it's one of two things. Either he's a lazy piece of shit who thinks that he's too good to run these drills, so he's half-assing them, which is absolutely what your teammates want in a leader. Or he's old as fuck and washed up and still not going to be good. And I think it's probably a solid mix of both of those things. But hey, to the Pittsburgh fans out there, God bless you for rooting for that team. Things have steadily gone downhill. I don't know that this is the year for another 9-8 season. If you go back to our previous episodes and you watch kind of our predictions, you'll see where we're both at on that. I don't think they're making it to 500 this year.
Yeah, I don't either. This is the first time that I have them marked down at less than 500. I don't know. I don't think that I had it last year. I think I had them over. But this year I had them, I think, a game, maybe two. I'd have to go back and look at my stuff. I'm not pulling it all up right now. I'm very excited for the way the AFC North could potentially shake out, because the Browns are getting more talented. There's a lot of baggage that's coming along with the talent that's coming, but they are getting a lot more talented, while I think that other teams in the AFC North, the Bengals and the Steelers, are getting less talented. Drastically less talented, or you're fracturing relationships. Jason Hayward wanting more money after just signing a new contract is not great for the organization. It's not a great
Steelers, right? Cam Hayward.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Jordan?
Jason, I think.
Okay, whatever. I said the wrong. Cam Hayward wanting more money is bad for them.
Which is really interesting because he just signed a new contract last
year.
Right?
Signed one.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, TJ Watt has got more money. Me too. I got to play
so
with
it feels
Rodgers.
like a lot of maybe not so much. Listen, NFL is a business. Football is a business. I just don't know that organization can continue to operate the way it has been and not have some sort of downfall, especially when the level of quarterback play, by all accounts, I think is probably going to be worse than it was last year.
Well, it's tough.
Justin Fields for 4 weeks was better than I think anything that we saw at Aaron Rodgers last year.
That's the thing is like I'm the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater out there. Obviously, with the monologue that I just fucking had. Right. Like as a pure passer, he is probably relatively equivalent, I would say, to what Russell Wilson brought to them last year, except for Russ Wilson is just kind of the awkward dad type of fucking dude that's weird. Aaron Rodgers is drama and
Aaron Rodgers is weird. He's a prick.
And Justin Fields, you can say what you will about him. Like he's a very non-traditional NFL quarterback by today's standards. He's not the mobile quarterback. He is primarily like a running style quarterback who has, a better arm than your average running back. We're even seeing some of that through Jets camp and the preseason, though. Like he didn't have himself a bad game by any means in his first preseason game. And I think that he'll be good for the Jets. That's not to necessarily denigrate that situation because I think they're when you're using Justin Fields as a unique situation. I think as like a pure passer, Aaron Rodgers might be better, but like it depends on what sort of like litmus test you're using to gauge whether or not they have better quarterback play or not, because they're very different types of quarterbacks that have been shuffled through there over the past 2 years in Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers is a more traditional passing style quarterback, which you might see some inflated numbers and stuff there. But like I'm personally not super sold on their receiving core, especially after moving off of George Pickens. Yeah, DK Metcalf is good, but like he's one guy. He's not a generational talent or something like that overcomes necessarily all the terrible quarterback play. We've seen him do good with lesser quarterbacks at times, but Geno is like I would take Geno Smith 100 times out of 100 over Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback who can play in the league, and I think that we're going to see a drop off in DK's numbers. They're more of a traditional running style offense with Arthur Smith there. Anyways, you have Calvin Austin III as your second wide receiver. I know Aaron Rodgers has been hanging out with OBJ, and there's been some talks about that, about him coming out there, but OBJ is generally washed. And then you've got, I can't think of his name, the former Michigan wide receiver that basically didn't see the field last year as a rookie, who Roman Wilson. I like Roman Wilson, but like there's a reason why he didn't see the field very much last year. Maybe he's not making a transition to the NFL very well. Some people are high on his prospects this year, but I'm just not there yet. So it really depends. The statement of are they going to get better quarterback play or not? It depends on what you're, how you're testing it. It's tough to say. At the end of the day, though, like just to reiterate, I think that they are not going to be a great football team. I think that they're going to be middling at best. And then when things go bad, we know what happens with Aaron Rodgers. It's pointing fingers. It's people losing their jobs. And it's why, we've already talked about, for years now, Tomlin is getting closer and closer to the end of his run there in Pittsburgh, probably because they've become stagnant. After Roethlisberger left, it's been a very middling team. That's why we always talk about the 500 mark. They get above 500, but they aren't getting that much above 500, which is not a winning strategy in the NFL. That's putting butts in seats for, selling tickets. Don't get me fucking started on the Twins. But like, it's fucking like, it's not a great way to be a competitive franchise. Obviously, they're a storied franchise in the NFL. Like they have such a great history, but it's kind of tough to see the team where they're at right now. And like the prediction that I think that we've both generally made is that this is probably going to lead to the end of Tomlin being there. They're going to be looking at all these different contractual situations now with Hayward, and you just paid TJ Watt. They've got, money in these old players, and I don't think that the recipe for success is there. And you're going to see Tomlin leave, and you're going to see all these aging players start to fall off, and they're going to have probably some down dark years unless they are able to strike lightning and find another quarterback there relatively quick, because that heals a lot of wounds very quickly for teams and it makes them competitive again. I don't know that Will Howard is the guy there. Like I think that he could be good, but obviously he's got a broken hand now or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was broken, but I think it was the pinky or something off of the helmet. So I mean, I'm not sure where he's at right now.
Yeah. Either way, it's a tough situation. It's funny that Hayward wants more money. He is old too, though, man. Like what, 35, something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's still a good player, but
he's fantastic.
Just signed a new deal and now wants more money. We're all about the players getting more money and wanting more money and everything, but also we have to have a business sense of things, and it's tough to have to keep on paying out money to aging guys like that and maintain a competitive roster going forward in the future.
Well, I don't feel bad for them at all. Suck it. All right, man. Let's change subjects off of Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Let's change it to something a little bit of Cleveland centric things. It's actually also very podcast centric. So New Heights gets a huge guest in Taylor Swift. Obviously, pretty simple to get her, I think, because Travis Kelce dating her, and Travis Kelce has an insane GQ photo shoot, and there is some information that comes out in that photo shoot. Now, all of the stuff ancillary to that, other than like him talking about really wanting to play for Cleveland, is not a sports story, but it's obviously sports adjacent because of what we're talking about. Have you had a chance to see any of this New Heights episode? I watched a little bit of it. Taylor Swift actually like bears her soul, it feels like, very early on in the episode, and it's like, damn, all right, this is legit. This is not just a publicity stunt.
Yeah, so I've only seen bits and pieces of it, and it's been on other, on social media, TikTok, what have you. So I've only seen those bits and pieces, the stuff about like she didn't understand football like at all. How she's like, I assume that like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow lined up against each other, and they just, fucking butted heads, like, and asking Travis about question about in the Super Bowl, what was it like lining up against your brother? And he's like, well, we're both on offense, so we're not on the field at the same time, that sort of thing. Like having to explain it to her, which I guess that kind of goes to the whole like wholesome Taylor Swift like thing, she's just a girl and she's just wholesome or whatever. But like I'm not a Swiftie. I don't know much about her. I don't know that she's necessarily had these sorts of long form podcasts that she's ever been on, if at all.
Well, she said on that episode that this is the first time she's ever done a podcast.
Well, there you go. And it kind of goes to show, like, she's in short form interviews a lot of times, and you don't really get to know who she is. And so it's kind of cool probably for a lot of Swifties and stuff out there to have the opportunity to see a little bit more behind the curtain, which is exactly what long form podcasts are for, is to not have it be reading off a script or, just the tagline things. It's, she gets to actually talk and everything. So that's pretty cool. Obviously a big thing for New Heights podcast, not that they were hurting at all or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, New Heights was, I think, the biggest sports podcast going in the world at the time. It's only made it much bigger. Watch out, Rogan. New Heights is fucking coming for you. When you got the power of the Swifties behind you, anything is fucking possible, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
That's very true.
Shitload of people.
Yeah. But I did see some of the stuff from the GQ interview. Also did not read that much as well. But I think, like one of the bigger things in there was the fact that Kelce had spoken about how his career outside of football was affecting his football career, which is one of those things that we talk about a lot. Sports media in general talks about a lot, like, is this a distraction or blah, blah, blah. And he was actually one of the, I would say, probably first athletes to come out and actually say, like, yeah, like this did have negative impacts on my play on the field to an extent.
It's accountability. It's not something that we see often. Accountability is something that almost has to be forced on people at times. So when you get it on your own, it's something that's really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's one of the things that why it makes the Kelce brothers so accessible and liked by people outside of just, meathead football fans, is that, like, having that podcast, it really humanizes them, and they do seem a lot more like normal dudes put into kind of a star situation because they're really good at sports.
Yeah.
And then obviously it puts them in situations to date potentially the biggest female pop star ever, so
I don't know if potentially is needed anymore. I'm pretty sure she might be the biggest female pop star ever.
I'm assuming she is, but again, I don't follow that stuff enough to really know.
I mean, look, I like Taylor Swift. I like her music. I like their old music for sure. I used to jam to fucking some Tay Tay. I don't really listen to too much of her music now, but I think it's super cool that she was willing, somebody who is that famous, who is willing to kind of open up to that level, is inspiring. I don't want to get too sentimental. I'm not going to gush over fucking Taylor Swift, but truly, it is something that you heard me, sploosh.
All right.
But it's something that that with Raw Dawg Sports that we wanted to do with No Sleeves Network specifically, that ability to be authentically you, bare your soul, and allow that openness to, for us, potentially heal if you're going through things. I think it's really cool, and to see her do something like that, and to share that moment, earned a lot of points with me, just as general as in human beings and how she acts. I think it was a really cool thing that you don't normally get to see from those massive celebrities.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely a way that you can take it. I mean, I don't know that I'm reading into it that much. I think if anything, it just shows that, like, the relationship is probably a lot more genuine than it might have been perceived. You see a lot of celebrity couples and stuff like that. And you're like, well, they're celebrity couples because they're both celebrities, and this both helps promote their brand and things like that. There's usually a lot of, like, side reasons as to why two beautiful people who are famous get together, other than just love, right? But she's not going to take the time out of her day to go sit on a podcast and kind of do this for the first time, unless she's probably committed to the relationship. Which this is not we're entertainment tonight or anything here on Raw Dawg Sports, but like we're branching into that realm a little bit here with it. But I mean, it probably shows that this is a little bit more of a genuine thing that's going on than just two famous people who happen to connect.
All right, we're starting to feel weird because we're talking about Taylor Swift too much. Let's fucking change topics. You want to talk about what do you want to talk about, the new cheerleaders? Because that'll be a fun conversation.
Oh God, if you want to get into it, we can.
All right, so there's a lot of people who may have seen. If you have not seen, there are cheerleaders for a lot of football teams in the NFL. Most of them have some sort of cheer or dance team. I don't know if I'd call them a cheerleader. Cheerleaders, they're fucking dancers. However, there are now more males who are doing this. There are obviously been male dancers fucking for forever, but normally we have not seen males in a situation where they are cheerleaders, dancers for a football team, any professional sporting team. We see male cheerleaders in like competition style cheerleading at collegiate levels, but this is something very different. And there's a segment of the country, shocker, that is very upset and is completely swearing off football, I think for the 12th time in the last 18 months. So what do you make of this? Because here's my thing. And I think you're probably in a very similar situation. Who gives a fuck? Like, I have never concerned myself with cheerleaders. If the Browns have a dance squad, I have no idea about them. I have never noticed them if they have one. So I couldn't give two shits about who is on the dance squad. I don't care if you are gay. I don't care if you are trans. None of that shit means anything to me whatsoever, because you are, and I am sorry, this is going to make them feel bad, or everybody who is part of this feel bad. You are completely irrelevant to the reason that I am watching this fucking game. You are not important to me at all, so I do not give a fuck. Live your life. Be happy. That is what I care about. You do your thing. I'm going to do mine. Just let me watch the fucking game. That's all I care about.
I thought you were going to get in a little bit of the Ted Lasso, where they got the one player that's gay, and
yeah,
it's not that we don't care. We care.
I do care.
Yeah,
but I don't fucking care.
Yeah, no, like that's definitely where I come from to an extent. And you kind of bring up a good point with does it really matter? Like, we're talking about cheerleaders. High school has cheerleaders and college has cheerleaders, and there's been males within those ranks for eternity, essentially. And when it comes to professional football, we have seen more male cheerleaders kind of popping up. Now, I believe like the Rams were one of the first teams to have like a couple male cheerleaders, and
and let's be honest, LA, that makes 100% sense. That's going to be one of the more inclusive areas of the entire country.
Yeah. And to your point about not like caring about it, like as big of a sports fan as I am, as big of a Vikings fan as I am, I don't really truly just don't notice the cheerleaders with the team. Like I of course I know that they're there. I'm a heterosexual male, but I stopped kind of caring about cheerleaders after high school, to be completely honest. And especially when it comes to the sports, and I'm there for the sport, not necessarily like the rah-rah of the cheerleaders. And I stopped kind of paying attention to Vikings cheerleaders after high school because I paid attention more because one of my buddy's sisters was on the cheer team, and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. For XYZ reasons. But like when it comes to male cheerleaders being out there, I would say, and there's obviously a very vocal group out there who is very upset about this.
Yeah.
The Vikings are kind of the ones that are causing this to become a little bit more of an uproar because they introduced two guys that are part of their cheer squad, which is essentially, yes, the dance squad out there. But the thing is that they were more than just like, these are dudes cheerleading. Like, they're zesty.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, listen.
Whoa.
Listen, I don't know if that is required for the role of dance squad, but I mean, they look like they're super gay, and that's fine. Yeah. You're gay. Like that's a thing. They are super zesty. And I think that threw some people off. They're like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah. Now, let me be abundantly clear. And I think that you kind of already stated this. Your sexual proclivities couldn't give a shit. Cool, like, go do your thing. Love who you want to love. Be you. I don't really care. Like, because you're you, not me. And it doesn't affect me per se. All right. That being said, not just as a Vikings fan, but just a sports fan in general and stuff like that, it was jarring to see the zestiness, if you will, of these cheerleaders. And go get you, Queen, whatever. Like, I actually had the conversation with Hannah last night, and I'm sorry. Well, no, actually, that's a lie. I do know the name of one of them, the one with the longer hair. His name is Blaze.
Feels like a stripper name.
He's not a flamer. He's Blaze. Either way.
That's tough.
But this is the thing, is like, I actually told Hannah the other night when we were watching some videos, and I was like, you know what? And again, I mean this with all love and respect. We all know there's some gays out there that are more difficult to deal with because that's their identity rather than just their sexual orientation. And they take things a little bit too far, and they try to attack people based off of their sexuality. But then you have the what I like to kind of refer to as the cool gays, which are like, they're just like the normal people who happen to fucking be into the other sex.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of gay friends And for the most part, they're of that latter nature where like you can get along with them, and also like we're veterans, we like dark humor, we like shit talking,
like, you
and
know
so
what?
like if I can't be like get over you big gay owl, like, and if they're not gonna get upset by that, like we're probably not gonna be cool. Same way that if I shit talk a normal heterosexual dude and I shit talk them about something, if they get upset, we're probably not gonna hang out a bunch because you're just not like my type of person who likes to bullshit. I feel like Blaze might be one of those types that like could be one of the fun gays where you're out and you're like, oh, you fucking queen, like it could be a good time. I don't know. I just get that feeling. Aside from all that, I don't have an issue with it. It is definitely, I don't want to say off-putting because that sounds wrong, but it was definitely jarring to see again the zestiness. I don't know what other fucking word to use here. And it made me question not whether or not they should be out there or anything like that, but I have a curiosity about what segment of the football population out there cares about the fact that there is or is not cheerleaders in the first place, but secondly, like obviously there are plenty of homosexual football fans out there, but like what segment is looking for that sort of like overt homosexuality within the ranks of the cheerleaders? I don't know. Like obviously this
Well, I don't know, but that's
meant
what
for
I was wondering.
inclusiveness.
Because it seemed like I don't know if you would call it gay. It seemed like a very effeminate dance move, but all of the women do those same moves and it seems completely normal. But
Yeah.
So that's
societally we're probably fucked in the head, right?
Yeah, probably a little bit, but
like when I saw them like doing like hip grinds and stuff, I was like, ew, what?
Yeah, so
but in the same respect, like the chicks are doing the same thing, and it just seems absolutely normal. And that's probably because we are very predispositioned to the sexualization of women and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
That
So
it's a norm. And so that's, again, we're trying to grow. We're trying to grow here.
Right.
And either way, it just made me question, like, is there actually that sort of fan base out there that was craving that sort of inclusiveness within the cheer team? Or is this more of like, I don't want to call it a PR move or something like that, but like obviously those dancers were out there. They wanted to do this. They want to be a part of a professional sports franchise's fucking dance cheer team. And that's cool that they get that opportunity to. The whole season ticket holders saying that they're going to cancel their season tickets, like,
then
cool. There's probably people lining up to take those season tickets because, like, if you are there and being distracted by that sounds like you have your own personal issues probably to deal with. Whereas, like, I noticed the fact that there are cheerleaders out there, like when the players, run into the stadium and stuff like that. Yeah, I might ancillarily know that they're on the sidelines, but they are probably the thing that I'm focusing on the least out and on the football field or in the stadium if I'm there in person. And that's not to denigrate them at all. It's just, I'm there for football. I'm not there for the cheerleaders. Right. So it's an interesting thing. It sounds again, kind of like not a PR move or something like that, but like just for our purposes, like in a way, I am proud of my Vikings for, being willing to push that out there, because obviously you're not going to make a move of adding them onto your squad without understanding that there's going to be a fair amount of backlash. And in order to have progressive change and moving forward, you have to be willing to take risks and face that backlash. And so I'm proud of my team for doing that. While it's not that I don't care for it. It's just like, it's again, kind of doesn't matter to me. It's obviously opened the door because we've seen within the past several days of, those cheerleaders being noticed or announced since the preseason game, we've had, other teams. I think 10, 12 other teams have shown off their male dancers, cheerleaders, whatever as well. Patriots just put out a PR thing with their new cheer members, and there's a dude at the end of it doing the same sort of, the same level of zestiness.
Same level of zest.
So like it's opening the door for that. That's cool. Like it is what it is. I think that it's probably getting more screen time than is really necessary, to be honest. And it is from, one segment of the country who is being very vocal about it. But at the end of the day, like you're talking about something completely separate from football at that point. That's a very different conversation. And if you want to tie it because they are employed by this football franchise and that bothers you enough, it is absolutely your right to go ahead and give up your season tickets. It's your right to speak your voice and what you think about it and everything. But just understand that like most people just don't give a fuck. And it kind of sounds like you're being whiny about something that has the most minuscule impact on your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to bring up, we said the word gay a lot, but I don't think, not in a negative connotation in any mean. Sometimes shit is just gay. All right. Like you can listen to a Shane Gillis stand up. I can give you an example right now. Like going and picking strawberries on a Saturday where there's a shitload of college football on, gay. Super gay. Like, it doesn't matter if you have to go and do it with your wife. That's gay. Like, you remember when you were your mom's gay little best friend, the Shane Gillis fucking thing? Some things are just gay, man. And, well, that seems like that. So,
and that's the thing.
Not to denigrate the statue.
Again, that's coming from the furthest place from any sort of like a hate speech type of
Absolutely.
thing, right? Like, I am not gay myself, but I would believe that the homosexual community just wants to be treated like they're normal people because they are normal people, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, every gay person that I've interacted with, on more than just like that passerby basis and stuff. Again, the cool cases, I want to call them, but like the ones that I like generally get along with, like they are completely open and about being like, you call them gay or something like that. Like, because it's not like you're treating them like a normal person. I'm going to treat you the same way that I treat anybody else. I'm going to shit talk. And if I'm not shit talking you, it's probably because I don't like you. Right. Like, then I'm going to be mean about it if I don't like you. But like, I got no problem with them. So like when we say gay, that's not coming from a place of hate or anything like that. It's just, it's funny.
Some things are gay.
And yeah, like, I don't know. I don't feel like we need to explain ourselves too much because then it seems no. I love black people. I've got a black friend. like it sounds like one of those situations, but it's like, I think in 2025, hopefully we're moving to a spot where it's like, oh, like why even bring up your sexuality? Who cares? Like, do you? But obviously different parts of the country, different spectrums of political biases and things like that, and religious backgrounds, and you can have whatever views you want to have. Just if you have those views, don't use them in a hateful way. Is a big thing.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about something else that's super gay. Tom Brady got a statue.
Do you think that he looked a little thick?
Yeah, he did look a little.
He got some hips on him.
That was old time. Tom at the end of the career, all right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, in general, it was a good statue. Proportions seemed off, but it was a good statue.
It is by far not the worst statue that has come out, and certainly not the last few years. And it's cool. I mean, he deserves to be immortalized in a statue. Obviously, Canton, that's happening, but to have something at a stadium, I think that he is well beyond earned that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's absolutely earned that. It's cool to see memorialization without him being dead or anything. That sounds like he's dead, but like memorialization of some of the greats out there. Like, I'm sure that they're gonna put up a Deshaun Watson jersey right next to Bill Cosby's sweater in the Smithsonian. And Tom Brady obviously gets to have that statue there in New England next to Foxborough and everything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, good for Tom. I don't really have anything else on it, man. I mean, it's not a terrible statue.
Yeah, like the proportions feel a little bit off to me, but it feels like what happens with the statue.
Yeah,
like they didn't put this gigantic summer sausage log in his pants that actually should probably be there.
Probably. I mean, with the women that he pulls, and it wasn't D Wade, so
yeah, he didn't look like an alien.
Yeah. All right, brother. So do you want to start getting into some contracts, or do you want to talk NFL lawsuits?
Let's do the lawsuits. I think it's going to be relatively quick with that one. we had news come out earlier this week about John Gruden's, grievance against the NFL, and his belief that Roger Goodell and the NFL released his emails intentionally to make it easier for him to be fired. That's going to be able to be, those emails are going to be able to be seen in discovery and have his day in open court. John Gruden has also been very public recently about wanting to coach football again. I think, there was some scuttlebutt, if you will, about him getting back into the coaching game this off season. Talks about, I know that I had brought up about him going to the Bears. Part of that is, he's a Barstool employee. They're at the Chicago office now, and how he could possibly fit in with the Bears before they hired Ben Johnson. But by all reports, like, players liked playing for John Gruden. He is a fiery, passionate football coach. He's put together some really good teams in the past. And then we were in a certain kind of, I guess you want to call it, political spectrum or era at the time that he got fired, where it was cancel culture time, and everyone was looking for opportunities to cancel people and things like that. And he got caught up in it. I'm not saying that whatever he had said in emails or privately or whatever is necessarily correct, but obviously he believes that it was intentionally leaked and used to give justification for his firing and release. But either way, it's been ruled that he's going to be able to have his day in court for that. And then in addition to that, Brian Flores has had an open lawsuit against the NFL for years about discrimination, particularly with African-American coaches. And, that is now, as of today, being moved forward. He gets to have his day in court as well.
Yeah. So the Flores one has been going on for a long time, and we've talked about this essentially since it came out, because we were worried that, or thought that this would probably preclude him from ever getting a head coaching job again, at least while this is going on. So it is progressing forward. Obviously, he's not on the hook like a bad thing, but he is locked in this season as your guys' DC. I know that there are teams that I think would go out and hire him as a head coach because he's a damn good coach. I just don't know that any owner is going to be willing to have that conversation while this lawsuit is still in play.
Yeah, well, so I mean, he's done head coaching interviews and whatnot since being the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, and it makes sense because he's done a phenomenal job there with what has been generally viewed as a lesser squad. Obviously, this year is different. They've brought in a lot more talent, and he's developed a lot of talent while he's been there. But he's always been able to get the most out of the guys in his squad, and he's considered a mastermind with what he does schematically. And those are the type of guys that you always see getting those head coaching spots. And so it makes absolute sense that he's going to be looked at to be a head coach. But while he's got an open lawsuit against the NFL, there's probably a lot of those backdoor meetings like, yeah, don't fucking touch this guy. He's persona non grata. Like, do not fucking hire him as a head coach. Obviously he's able to get the job as a position coach and now as a coordinator again. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why he hasn't gotten or accepted a new contract offer from the Vikings, because there's been talk about that. His contract is up after this year with the Vikings. And they went out and re-signed their offensive coordinator, but he didn't get a contract as well. And part of that is probably because if the court cases finish up, during the season, when we get to the next head coaching cycle, he absolutely is and going to be one of the people that's getting looked at to be a head coach. It's just, if that court case is still open, it's probably going to be a bar for a team to actually hire him. That's not a good thing. It's not a right thing. And that's probably part of his court case, is the fact that he's basically been, shadow banned by the league from head coaching positions. But the level of play that he is put out on the field, the way that he's coached, the way that he's grown from, the stuff that happened with Tua and everything in Miami, and the way that players have his back on that, like, he's the exact prototype of coach that teams are looking for to bring in to be their next leader as head coach. So I'm happy for him. I'm going to be sad if and when he leaves for a head coaching opportunity for my Vikings, because he's been a godsend to have on our team.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fantastic for you guys. And it would not surprise me if the NFL is colluding against him to make sure that he does not get a head coaching job while this is going on. Ask the NFLPA about the NFL and collusion. And like, there is dirty backdoor shit that goes on all the time in the NFL. These are billionaires. Billionaires are about their money. They will do whatever they got to do to protect their money. So,
so some other legal stuff has been happening, kind of surrounding your Cleveland Browns. And we're not a Cleveland Browns show, but obviously this is important to talk about. It's for your squad. So go ahead and lead us into this, because a lot of the news kind of has dropped recently today about some players with some off the field troubles.
Yeah. So I'll get to the two new players, but there was a player that is currently signed to the Browns that I know is signed to the Browns that has had some legal troubles recently, and that's Myles Garrett. Speeding once again. Listen, I understand that people speed. I speed. There is a speed limit for a reason. I think the speed limit is too low in a lot of spots, but I don't get to make the fucking laws. Don't get me wrong. I break them as well. Doesn't mean it's right, but that is what happens. Traveling at speeds in excess of 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, regardless of if you think the speed limit is too low, can be reckless. There are very few places in the entire United States where the speed limit is 80 and above. And most of those are in Wyoming. I know that because I live there, and it's that fast because there's fucking nothing out there. So if you have an accident,
I think Texas has a lot.
So if you have an accident in the middle of fucking nowhere, you're not going to hurt anybody else at those speeds. You're just going to kill yourself.
It's also straight lines for the most part. Like, you're not maneuvering
around the city and things like that. So it's way too dangerous to be driving at those speeds. But I understand speeding because everybody fucking speeds, because the speed limit is too goddamn slow. And then you get people who are driving in the fucking fast lane when they're not supposed to be there. I understand. Driving in a large city is fucking obnoxious. I get it. Just do the right thing. Also, one more time. People don't pay attention, man. They will fucking kill you.
It's very true.
They will fucking kill you by not paying attention, especially if you're going at those speeds.
Yeah. But for Myles Garrett here, a quick roll up of some of these speed infractions. We've got going 120 in a 70, 99 in a 70, 91 in a 60, 100 in a 60, 60 miles in a 45 mile an hour zone, but that resulted in a rollover crash, and 100 mile per hour in a 60. So these are not like, hey, I'm setting my cruise to fucking like 9 over and calling it good. So like some of these are aggressive speeds. I'll say this, it's not a good look, especially when you had Shedeur going out and getting speeding tickets and stuff like that, and you already have a whole bunch of other off the field legal style issues surrounding your team and everything. It's not a good look. And when you're potentially a defensive player of the year caliber player and stuff like that, you should probably, as much as we all do speed, don't fucking lie out there. If you say, I stick to the speed limit.
Everybody speeds.
Yeah. Everyone speeds unless you are fucking old and decrepit and don't know where your accelerator pedal is in your car. But obviously that's excessive, and you're held to a higher standard to an extent as a sports player, where you're going to get more scrutiny towards these things.
Yeah. So Myles, slow down. It's not a good look. Be a leader, slow down. It's also safer. Now, in terms of other news, legal news that's happened today, there's a lot of talent that is going to be coming to the Browns and potentially coming to the Browns. I still cannot confirm. I have been looking to see if it is confirmed for sure, but it's not signed off yet. It's got this Brad Stainbrook just posted that it's not confirmed yet. Isaiah Bond has been cleared of his charges. There will be no official charges brought against him for the sexual assault that was talked about, or was accused of him. So, of course, the Cleveland Browns are like, well, that sounds like a guy that we need on the squad, because why not bring in some more controversy?
This guy knows how to fuck people up.
So, now don't get me wrong, Isaiah Bond, very talented. I had some high things to say about him during the draft process. You weren't not quite as high, but he was still going to be a third round,
the draftable player at worst.
Yeah, For sure. So that's talent coming to the squad, but it comes with a lot of additional baggage, which feels like just a goddamn norm for Cleveland Browns draft picks at this point. If that deal goes through, I love it. I think it's great. The whole Deontay Johnson experiment, I'm not here for it, man. I don't think it's going to work at all. So bringing in another guy that I think can be potentially explosive and cutting bait of a guy that I don't think is going to put in the type of effort that's needed. I'm all for bringing in Isaiah Bond from a talent and positional need perspective. But the sexual assault thing is obviously like I murdered Deshaun on this podcast several times. So this feels gross and weird, but also they didn't press any charges. I don't know if there's additional legal cases that come from this, like a civil suit that he settles or fights or whatever, then I will maybe have an updated perspective of what's going on. It's just I don't know what to say. From a talent perspective, from a football point, it's a good thing. Other than that, it's probably not a great look because the Browns continue to add. We are the new Cincinnati Bengals, except for we're not fighting people. We're not committing assault. We're committing sexual assault.
Yeah. We are big into believing in second chances and stuff like that here at the show. And also we're definitely about, innocent until proven guilty, though, there's certain circumstances where it's like there's an overwhelming and overbearing kind of feeling of like this is probably a person is guilty. With Isaiah Bond, it's one sexual assault allegation, which is not necessarily uncommon for professional sports athletes to receive when they could be false. And I guess we will never know for sure whether or not he's telling the truth or not in the situation because, quote, after reviewing all the evidence presented, a Colin County grand jury returned a no bill in the sexual assault charge involving Isaiah Bond, meaning no indictment will be issued. And this concludes the criminal proceedings in this matter. That's from the district attorney in Texas, in Colin County. And so sometimes that could mean that there's not enough evidence to pursue the case. Sometimes that means that they found no evidence that anything happened. And we probably won't know which of the two of those is the case. But either way, it's a stain on this guy's career and his character and everything, regardless of if he did anything or not at this point. It carries extra baggage, especially when you have a Browns team that has caught a lot of heat for having players who have this sort of a background. And it makes you question, like, obviously, like you said, you have from a talent and a need perspective, it makes sense to bring him in. And, I think a lot of teams probably have a different level of weighing, the potential PR backlash from this sort of thing versus, putting the best 53 men out there on the field. And it seems like the Cleveland Browns have a very loose interpretation of how they want to go forward with people who have that sort of a background. They're desperate to put together the best football team possible by any means necessary, it seems like.
Yeah, we're like what the hell's his name? From The Longest Yard. Quarterback.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to remember off the top of my head. Good movies.
That's what it feels like we're building right now. Just a whole squad of goons. Speaking of, Quinshon Judkins has been cleared of his assault charges. Now, the way that this came out seems very much like even when I was reading the report and saying that he was not going to be charged and why he was not going to be charged, it made it seem very much like this story appears to be fabricated. And if that's the case, I hope the court of public opinion can be turned around and Quinshon Judkins can be welcomed back into the NFL community like nothing has ever happened. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about, believe the victims, believe women, and then find out what happens. Well, they've gone through all the legal proceedings, and when you read the statement, it seems very much like this was one of those terrible situations that we hear about where he was set up. I can go ahead and I can try to find it now, but where are you at on the idea that, the Quinshon Judkins thing? Because Isaiah Bond, sexual assault, and that's a whole different thing than the domestic violence thing, because the report from Quinshon, the initial police report was gross. And now we're getting a very different account of how things are read.
So I'm not as well versed in this because this is all very recent to me, and I've got the ESPN kind of article up here, and I'm going to read part of it. When prosecutors' office, DAs, and stuff like that release information, it is going to have way less context to it. They kind of keep it, black and white, and that leaves a lot of area for speculation and thought. Like I just brought up with Isaiah Bond, sometimes prosecutions don't happen because they don't have evidence, and they know that they won't win in court, and they're not going to waste their time with it. Unfortunately, that's part of the legal system, is they're not going to waste their time on something that they don't think that they have a chance to win. And in some cases, there just isn't any evidence or anything like that, and it could be a fabrication. And I don't know that I'm swayed one way or the other. The way that they kind of worded that, this prosecutor's office kind of worded things, it almost makes it seem like that, like they kind of explicitly said, and I'll read it here, that there was a low likelihood that they're going to have, or no reasonable likelihood that we would be able to get a conviction, which is why the case is being declined, which makes me lean a little bit more towards is like, well, they don't have any evidence to really truly tie this to him. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen, and we probably won't know. But reading this here, Judkins was arrested on misdemeanor domestic violence and battery charges in Fort Lauderdale on July 12th. And then, quote, "This incident was not captured on any video surveillance." The decline memorandum read, "There are no independent witnesses to the incident. Although the victim had photos showing injuries sustained, there were also videos in the same time frame where no injuries were observed to the victim. Additionally, the victim's injuries depicted in the photo could be explained by either account of the incident. Finally, there was a delayed report of the incident. The delay is problematic as the victim was alone on numerous occasions without the defendant and had the ability and resources to make the report without his knowledge, but chose not to do so. For the reasons set forth above, there is no reasonable likelihood of conviction, and this case is being declined." So it absolutely could be a case of falsification. Usually, though, like, that's the thing, is like, usually there's some attempt at extortion against the person, unless they're just.
Well, there was the phone call. Do you remember the phone call or the conversation? She thought we could work it out, I believe is what she said.
Again, I'm not even aware of that. And so
I'm going to see if I can find that. I believe those are the exact words. Or actually, if producer Amber could maybe look for that phone call with Quinshon Judkins' girlfriend, I believe her comment is, "I thought we could work it out." And
probably ex-girlfriend now.
Oh, for sure, ex-girlfriend. There's no. Well, hopefully. And hopefully the other news that I just saw come across my X feed, that Travis Hunter's wife has filed for divorce, is false. I hope that's fake.
I don't really care. But
I mean, it would be awful for that young man, because everybody was talking about that relationship.
Yeah. But look, as of this time, they're not going to be pressing any sort of charges. They don't have the requisite evidence to say that he actually did any of this assault or battery, domestic violence, and so he's released, going to be able to obviously sign now. He at this point hasn't signed with your Browns yet, right?
No, he has not signed yet. So, and I don't know if Isaiah Bond has signed yet. I don't know if that has been officially done. So potentially there's a lot of talent coming to this Browns team still.
I haven't seen anything officially saying that he was signed yet, though. In the Instagram post that he put out, which had a letter from his agency that was penned by him allegedly. He's very thankful of the Browns for giving him an opportunity. It sounds like as far as he knows and is concerned, his agency is concerned, is that it's basically a done deal. So it's probably a process of dotting the T's, crossing the I's for Bond. And then obviously the only player drafted not to have signed yet was Quinshon Judkins. Because of this incident, and now that there's kind of being a bow put on it, I'm sure that signing is going to happen relatively quick. I doubt he's going to be in a position to try to negotiate anything special, and he's going to probably take what they're giving him at this point as far as, the NFLPA required deal, so that way he can get there, start practicing, get on the field.
I wouldn't be so sure of that, man. Contract language is still going to matter a lot because basically every second round pick got guaranteed money. That's gonna be a big deal in the contract language, because if something else comes out that they can take all of that back, I'm not saying we're not out of the water of the Shamar Stewart holdout situation because of the legal issue. I mean, every other second round pick got guaranteed money. And if he's not going to get that, there's going to be a big problem with that. He's one of the top picks of the second round.
Yeah, and it does say here that, before his arrest, he was one of the several second round rookies who was seeking more guarantees in their contract. That's really on his agency at this point to see how far they want to fight for it, or for him to decide, like, how much do I want to fight for this, or how much do I want to put this stuff behind me and get on the field, and start practicing and playing.
Producer Amber, were you able to find? Oh, maybe she's
got the finger
telling me to hold on. All right, so we will see if we can get that audio up real quick. But, yeah, man, I'm excited because, listen, if the way that reads, and maybe this is just me being a optimistic Browns fan, and I hope it doesn't come across as callous that I don't care about this woman, because if the assault happened, it's awful. But the way that read to me seemed like she had multiple opportunities to come forward and didn't come forward. So they are even questioning why this is happening. If that audio does exist that Amber is looking for, I think that tells a very understanding story of what happened to Quinshon Judkins, because we've talked about it. All reports were that there was nothing in this guy's file that indicate that he would have some sort of character flaw, character defect, whatever they want to call it, that would lead itself to this kind of behavior. So
looks like Amber has something for you, possibly sent to your Twitter for you to check there. While you're looking into that, some other legal news. We have Rashid Rice, Kansas City Chiefs. He is not being suspended at this time. He has an NFL hearing that is set for September 30th. So this is actually after the Chiefs will have already played some games, which means he's not going to start the year with any sort of a suspension at this point. They're actually giving him some sort of a disciplinary hearing to decide what sort of suspension measures are going to be actually enacted on him going forward. So for Chiefs fans, this is probably a boon for you, because you get to start with him and actually get to have him play there initially.
All right. So I got it here. I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick, and see if we can get this audio in here as well. Make sure. Audio. All right. Evo, can you hear this?
I had a high-profile male that I was in a relationship with put his hands on me.
When did that happen?
This happened 3 days ago.
So that would have been the 9th of July?
It was the night of, I can tell you right now. Sorry, I'm trying to go in my phone.
You're fine. Is there a reason that you didn't call the day that the incident occurred?
Yes, there is, because I thought that we could work through it, and obviously we couldn't. So I'm trying to do the right thing now, but the situation happened on Tuesday. Monday is early Tuesday, so like around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Tuesday.
Because that would have been July 8th.
Correct.
Did you have to go to the hospital for any medical treatment?
I didn't go to the hospital for cold treatment, but I will say that I am still in pain and I have a lot more of my story to tell. I just need to, and I still have visible bruises and evidence on my body of the event.
Okay, so you need paramedics
And on my
for any
phone.
reason right now?
No, sir.
All right, may I have your first name, please? What's the phone number you're calling from?
Her first name was Fuck.
What's your phone number?
Okay, and you'll be waiting outside in your vehicle?
No, we are outside the building in person.
Okay, so you're standing by the front door.
Correct, where there's a button that says press.
Okay. So I have the call in. We're going to have a officer meet you outside, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So that is the entire call.
So I thought when you were talking about a call that it was a call between her and Judkins, which doesn't appear.
Oh, God.
It doesn't appear to be the case where if that call took place with Quinshon, it would be more of like an extortion type of feeling to it. I don't know, man. Like it's tough to say. And again, it's probably one of the situations that we won't know the true story of.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. With nobody, the truth is always somewhere in the middle, anyways. Almost always somewhere in the middle.
Almost always, but not always. She could just be bullshitting.
She could,
like, it could be fucking a lie. But either way, look, that's obviously running back, big position of need for your team after moving on from Nick Chubb. Judkins, the player looked extremely talented. An Ohio State guy getting to stay there in Ohio, play for the Browns. So it's understanding why you're optimistic and excited to possibly get that sort of a talent on the field.
Yeah, very much so. The running game, I think, is going to be a big part of our offense again, because we're going back to the Stefanski offense. So if you're ready, man, we can kind of preseason transition into the preseason games, the ones that we just watched this last week, and then we got a couple games coming up here in the next couple of days, I believe, for both of our teams. Yeah, both of us tomorrow.
Well, no, we got games starting tomorrow.
Okay.
I believe my Vikings play on Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, I think we are tomorrow, but I have to double check. But
tomorrow, you are not tomorrow. You're Saturday as well.
Saturday as well. Okay. All right. But man, this last game, this is Shedeur's opportunity to go out there and prove that he can play in the NFL. Media reports, national media, they are setting Shedeur up to fail. They have done this kid wrong. They are screwing him over. What happened was that Shedeur had an opportunity, and he made the most of it. Do I agree with the handling of the reps and things in practice with all of this? No, I think the most talented quarterback on the roster is Shedeur Sanders. But he was not set up to fail. I don't think anybody in that organization wants anybody on that roster to fail, because I don't mean those motherfuckers are getting fired. So the narrative that he was set up to fail was insane, and he most certainly didn't fail. He passed the test with flying colors, in my opinion.
One comment on that real quick before you continue to go milking his glue cannon on yourself. He was expected by many to be a first-round pick. Correct.
Yes.
I don't think that there's a debate there. Obviously, he fell. I don't know how the argument can be made that he was set up to fail by playing what was at least initially projected to be a first-round pick, playing him in the preseason game and playing him early. That's generally what you do with guys who are expected to carry that level of talent potential, is you play them, and you play them early in your preseason games to develop them and see what you got. So the whole failure narrative to me kind of seemed silly from the rip. And you'll look, not a whole lot of issues with national media. Like I have one out for Colin Cowherd right now. Yeah. But like fucking these guys are going to continue resetting the bar here of what their statements were of, trashing a person and then like I'm going through right now with my JJ McCarthy stuff. Colin Cowherd fucking hates him, but he's resetting the bar. You go a week ago and he's saying, "Oh, JJ McCarthy's not that good. There's issues and blah blah blah." And then now most recently saying like that he could be a Brock Purdy level player, and like he's resetting like his tone on different things, and that's what the national media is going to do here. Is obviously they're coming out and they're saying like, "Oh, he's set up to fail," and now they're going to come from a different angle to probably attack him because he is a very attackable subject right now. Shedeur is. Obviously because of
I don't know
his
if
dad
that's
and spotlight and stuff like that.
I don't think he's attackable because that kid has been nothing but for all the reports of what happened in the pre-draft process and how terrible it was. He has been exceptional with talking to the media and being in the community. So
if he has a different name than Shedeur Sanders,
sure, okay,
this is not a story. That's what I'm like. He's the low-hanging fruit for the media to focus on as an attackable subject, one way or the other.
I got what you're saying, and it's very, very true. He is the low-hanging fruit because listen, he's Shedeur Sanders. He's Deion's kid. He's primetime. He sells. He also plays football really fucking well. The things that hell yeah, I should have worn my watch.
I think it's stupid to be.
Listen,
blunt, but
it's only a matter of time, baby. Only a matter of time. He played really well. Now, first NFL action, playing with the twos, going against the ones. That first drive, little shaky. One ball sails high, gets an easy completion, but ends up in a 3-and-out. Okay, fine. Kind of settles in, gets a little bit more going. And then as the teams got a little bit worse out there, he was able to progress and elevate people around him and show his talents. But when he was out there against the starters for the Panthers, I don't think it looked like the moment was too big for him. He had some jitters, some rookie first NFL action jitters to start. But I mean, it finishes 14-23, 138, 2 touchdowns. That's not incredible numbers, but it's exactly what you want because the knocks were, well, at least in camp, the knocks were he has problems with the operation, getting in and out of the huddle, calling the plays, and those types of things. I mean, I think there was one pre-snap penalty. He knew where the ball was supposed to go. Like his pre-snap reads were exceptional, and the ball got out quick, with the exception of a couple of boneheaded decisions, which he knows were probably not the right thing. He was bullshit with Myles on the sideline about one of them. But I can't believe I spun twice. So some of that still needs to be coached out, but he passed the test in my eyes as a guy that you can build a franchise on. There's still work to be done for sure, but there was work to be done with every single one of these quarterbacks coming out of this draft. His accuracy, his ability to pre-snap read what's happening, that's going to do him wonders, especially with this Kevin Stefanski offense. The offensive line, the second unit, held up against a pretty decent, I guess, Carolina Panthers front four. I mean, in our offensive line our offensive line last year was a fucking sieve. So our backups going and being able to do what they did was really encouraging. I think that our offensive line is looking to be in a much better spot. Shedeur will get more protection than he got at Colorado.
My grain of salt with all this, again, it is preseason. These aren't
agreed
great game planned situations, stuff like that. We are talking, and I will say, like, he after that first drive, he settled in. He looked pretty good. This is a Carolina Panthers team that had a pretty ungodly bad defense. I don't think that they made a tremendous leap in a year. Like, I would expect them to perform against that defense, starters or backups otherwise. So, like, I'm not telling you to pump the brakes on him by any means, because again, the performance was good. The performance that he had was good. It is preseason. There's still a lot of development left necessary out there, and I don't think that you disagree with that. There's plenty left, to chew there.
Yeah, 100%.
But I just want to make clear, it was the Panthers. It was what was a very terrible defense before. And so I'm not, until I see otherwise, I'm not giving the Panthers defense a whole ton of credibility as being something that's vaunted to overcome.
And I'm not saying that it was perfect by any means, but all the negative things that were said about Shedeur, the things that he was struggling with, he showed that he was able to handle all of those things in preseason game 1. Whether it was against the Panthers or not, all the pre-snap reads, all of the understanding of the protections, understanding the hots, like all of that stuff, things that people were worried about he wouldn't know because the terminology was different or his offense hadn't really changed. He hadn't seen a bunch of different things. That was not a problem. He knew what the fuck was going on. You just got to coach some other things, a few things out of him. I was very, very encouraged. Now, he did catch an oblique injury in practice, joint practice with the Eagles. So he's probably not going to play this week. That'll give us an opportunity to see what Dillon Gabriel has. Dillon Gabriel is going to have a tough task. He's going to have to go against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles backups are probably better than the Carolina Panthers starters. So Dillon Gabriel is going to have a much bigger ask. But that's not unfair to Dillon Gabriel because he was drafted above Shedeur Sanders. More should be expected of him, in my mind. Now, he has to prove that he can go and play as well. I don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to make the squad because, well, he's still hurt, still banged up. But one really kind of big positive that I saw outside of just, the line, Amani Marshall is a kid that I would love to keep around this Browns team. The running back came in. He ran so hard, man. I liked the way that kid ran. Now, obviously, with Sampson there and Judkins there, there's only one other spot, really. Unless Ford does something to blow me away, I don't think you need to keep him because Judkins and Sampson do everything that he's no longer needed unless he has taken a huge step forward. So you give this Amani Marshall kid a bigger back, kind of like another Quinshon type back. I think he would be a great fit because he ran really well. Also, our defensive rookies, we did a good job. I was not high on I thought Schlesinger was drafted too high. That kid's going to be a fucking stud. I'm so excited.
You're coming around to that.
Well, listen, I thought that he was going to be a good player. I did not think that he had a chance to be a every down linebacker who is impact making plays. I was wrong. He has immense potential. He is all over the field.
So kind of before I'm jump into quick thoughts on my Vikings preseason game, did you get a chance to look at any of the other preseason games that occurred this last weekend?
I did. Now, can I remember which ones they were? No, because I just toss them on and I catch what I catch.
Okay. Out of the rookie quarterbacks that played, including...
So I did go back and watch that.
Yeah. Out of the rookie quarterbacks that played, do you think that Shedeur had the best performance?
So I do. I know there's conversations that people saying Jackson Dart maybe had the best performance.
And that's kind of from I haven't heard that anywhere else, and this is the first time that I've thought about the question. But like in watching Jackson Dart, like again, I thought Shedeur performed well. I thought Jackson Dart's performance was better based off of some of the throws and the running that he did. I came away pretty impressed with some of the stuff that Jackson Dart did. I still don't think that he should play this year.
He's good at throwing a go ball.
Yeah. I thought that there's some really good positive things there if you're a Giants fan from what Jackson Dart did. And they weren't like miles separation between Shedeur's performance and Jackson Dart's performance. But I thought Shedeur performed well, and I was a little bit more impressed overall with Jackson Dart's performance. So if you're a Giants fan, I think that is definitely something to be hopeful for going on into the future. Is you can kind of lean on some of those throws that he made, decisions that he made. He also looked like he was not, or the situation was not too big for him in the moment. Like I struggled to put it into words, but he almost seemed like apathetic to being out there on the field. Where I don't want to say like he was bored or something like that looking, but he looked like so calm and kind of like whatever that it was like just another day for him type thing, which is in general a good thing as long as the player isn't actually like, oh, whatever, I don't care, I'm playing fucking NFL football. That's a problem. But I thought that he had a pretty damn good performance. And again, some of those throws and placement on him seemed pretty damn impressive.
Listen, I'm not saying Jackson Dart had a bad game. I thought Shedeur's were better because what Jackson Dart does is he throws a go ball really well. He throws an excellent deep ball. What it really impressed me about what Shedeur did was his pocket movement and his tight window throws. I mean, both of his touchdowns were tight windows or threading it, on that, backside deep dig. Actually, I think it was double post that they ran for that second touchdown. So, and knowing where the windows are, I was really impressed with his understanding and being able to read the zone coverage, knowing where the holes are, and make those tight window throws. We don't have a guy that goes down the field and wins go balls yet. I mean, it was cool to see, Flores go out there and make the one-handed catch, pulls the hammy and gets cut though.
And he's back injury designation, I believe, right? Like they cut him with injury designation, then he cleared waivers and he's re-signed as an injury guy or whatever.
I have not seen that yet.
I think I saw it because Flores kind of popped to me as well. Being a hometown guy, your version of what's the Buffalo kid? I can't think of his name or whatever. There's number 44 for the Bills is a big Buffalo guy, his hometown guy that fans love there. I think Flores has the opportunity to be the same sort of guy, but I think monitoring him a little bit more. I saw that he was cut with an injury designation or waived with an injury designation, and I think that he cleared whatever waivers required in order for him to then be returned to the team with that injury designation. Basically, he's going to get to kind of stick around, probably be more of like a practice squad type guy or something once he kind of heals from the injury. Yeah, it kind of sucks that he got injured because I thought he showed some good stuff.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that he's going to be able to, at some point, probably make this team, especially if he has been re-signed and will be able to hang around, make a practice squad. He had really good rapport. He has good rapport with Shedeur, and if Shedeur ends up being the guy, that's going to help Floria's chances as well. Because, if you get a quarterback that becomes your franchise quarterback, he tells you he likes a guy, typically that guy gets signed or re-signed. Unless it's the Packers organization, and then they fucking trade that guy away or cut him, typically.
Yeah. Well, for my Vikings, obviously we took the W in our first preseason game. JJ McCarthy got one drive out of that, 12 plays. And I'll say this. I think it's fairly apparent that I'm a big fan of JJ McCarthy, and I think that he's going to do really good things for the team. That doesn't make me unable to be critical of his play and everything like that. I caught a little bit of heat on Twitter because I even prefaced a comment saying, like, I'm a huge fan of his. I want to be critical of these couple things. I think the footwork could have been better and things like that, ball placement. And then I had some people come in and be like, oh, this guy with, X amount of followers said that he thinks that his footwork isn't good. We better cut him. I was like, when the fuck did I say that? Like, I don't know. The Twitterscape out there, the Xscape.
You're not allowed to be critical of anybody for anything unless it means the worst thing in the world. Like, you can't say, you know what, this was not a good rep. Like, these guys know that too, though. So, and that's what I understand about it. That's one thing that sucks about the entire social media sphere is when things like that happen, when you make a comment. Listen, we're having fun. But Jesus Christ, guys, take it easy. We're just having a good time.
I tell my students all the time, if I'm being critical of you, it's because I expect and I know that you've got better in you, and I want to see you succeed and overcome those criticisms. Like, I'm not being critical to be mean. I'm not being critical because I don't like you. I'm being critical because I want you to know these are weak points that I'm seeing. Let's go out there and fix them and fucking succeed. That's the same thing with JJ. Like I am intentionally, explicitly looking for things that I can be critical about to watch that development curve happen. Uh, One of the things that had been known with him was that he needed some footwork adjustment. Specifically, if you watch on a lot of his throws, he will, especially Michigan, going forward, he'll kick that trailing leg out after a throw. It swings wide, which opens up the hips. Typically, when you throw ball, and again, I'm not a quarterback coach here, but good quarterbacks in general, one of the main mechanical things is that when you throw the ball, if you're wearing a belt and there's a laser pointer on your belt, you want that laser pointer on your belt buckle to be pointed towards your target after the throw is made. He overturns, so that leg will whip out, and he was, twisting his hips almost 70 degrees past the target at points in Michigan. And a lot of that has been worked out. Now he's closer to maybe being, a little bit more like 10, 15 degrees too far left of the target, which takes away some of your throwing velocity because you're losing some of that momentum being pushed into the ground, some of that force being used from the ground and leveraging that to force the ball out. And I thought that some of his throws could have had a little bit more force on them if he had that good foot, leg, body connection to the ground. And then some of that footwork also leads to inaccuracy potentials, right? Overall, I thought he did well in that one drive. I thought that he did look like he needed another drive to show that he was settled down a little bit more because some of that footwork stuff just seemed like it was a little bit unsettled. And those are my criticisms, but I liked his performance. I thought he did well. I want to see better. Overall, that we showed better use of the run game. I think Hawkinson showed really well in that game. Addison obviously showed really well in that game. I liked what I saw from that first team offense. And overall, like that's kind of what we got to see at JJ, and that's all we're going to get to see at JJ probably in this preseason because we've had joint practices this week with the Patriots. Reports today from the second joint practice with the Patriots was that it was his best day. Most reporters are saying this was the day where it all clicked. Like he's had ups and downs, or he's had practices where he's had some good things, some bad things, and today apparently they're like everything seemed to click. He was in red zone drills through fucking 5 touchdowns on like 10 attempts or something like that. Looked really good through it. Didn't really have issues, and it was exciting for those beat reporters who have also been critical of the same way that I'm being critical. Like, hey, there's these things that he still needs to work on. Not saying that he's bad or anything like that. And those were the guys coming out today saying like this practice was like it looked like it all just fucking clicked all of a sudden, and everything really was good. So I'm happy to see that. Other things, unfortunately, we lose Rondale Moore for the year. Rondale, really unfortunate for him because he lost all of last season to a pretty bad knee injury. The other knee, left knee, gets injured on what looked to be a bit of a hip drop tackle on a punt return. And he's out for the year. They've not disclosed exactly what it is, just that it is a severe knee injury, and they confirmed that he's on season IR at this point, which really sucks because he had worked really hard to come back. And I thought that he could be a decent option for us as a little bit more of a gadget guy. We're already going to be seeing that wide receiver core depleted a little bit because of Addison being suspended those first 3 games. We've got our traditional number 3 guy, Jalen Naylor, who has had some drop issues last year. He's still been showing some of those drop issues through camp, which is concerning to me. And so, especially through those first couple games, we might be a little bit light on the receiving core. That's disappointing. I think that they're going to continue to look to see in this preseason game how guys behind them, like Lucky Jackson, performs. But again, I'm going to keep pounding the table. I'll try to make a trade for Adam Thielen. I think that he would be a perfect fit as when the full team is out there, a good number 3 type of receiver, but he can definitely step into that number 2 style role these first couple weeks. Beyond that, I had 2 guys I want to spotlight, both offensive guys. Xavier Scott, a converted wide receiver to a running back, a little bit of a thick dude now. He's definitely put on some bulk, and he's been competing with Ty Chandler for the number 3 running back spot. He had himself a hell of a game. He really impressed me in that game. And I think that if they weren't neck and neck before, him and Ty Chandler, they are neck and neck now. If not, Xavier Scott is a little bit ahead in that competition battle. Why that is kind of important. The Vikings drafts have not been great as of late, especially since Quincy took over. Ty Chandler and Jalen Naylor are the 2 remaining draft picks from Quincy's first draft on this team. after they released Brian Asamoah yesterday, who's already been signed by, I believe it was the Titans now. And Brian Asamoah, I thought was probably going to get cut. He's primarily a special teams guy, former 3rd-round pick at linebacker. Wish him the best by all intents and purposes. He's a very good special teams player, and he's been a good teammate. But it's kind of a indictment on those Quezzy drafts. Ty Chandler, I think, is not going to make the roster, and that Xavier Scott is going to beat him out for that roster spot this year. And then Jalen Naylor is on the last year of his rookie deal. And like I just said, he's kind of had some drop issues and stuff like that. So they might be not looking to pay him a buttload of money to stay around and still have those issues going forward. But Xavier Scott, I'm really excited to watch him again this weekend and see how he performs in a larger role, because he's going to get a lot more playing time. And then the backup quarterback, Sam Howell, who had not looked good through camp, actually looked really good in that game, had a very good stat line.
I was going to ask you
about looked the part as a backup, and he's probably in the lead for that backup role. Him and Brett Rippon were kind of dueling it out. Brett Rippon went out there and looked ungodly terrible.
Brett Rippon. I don't know why there's a Rippon still in the league.
And so he is probably going to be a coach before too long, because he's very smart. He's good with that stuff. He's just not able to put it together on the field. The guy who really impressed me, though, was our UDFA out of Minnesota, Max Brosmer, excuse me. He looked really good in the game. He's someone that, obviously local Minnesota fans have been championing, because he's a Gopher who stayed there as a UDFA. And I thought, okay, well, I don't like to get latched on these Minnesota guys making the Minnesota team. But honestly, he looked just as impressive as Sam Howell. He looked really good. He threw the only touchdown pass of that game. Got to show off a little bit of his arm. And he's been outperforming all the other backup quarterbacks, including Sam Howell, through camp. He's looked really good. I don't know that we carry 3 guys regularly on this roster, even though there's, the NFL rule where you can have that, 3rd quarterbacks dress, even though they aren't part of the official active roster. And so I do think that we probably will end up carrying a 3rd guy. And as of right now, it looks like Brosmer's being ripping out based on his play. And if Brosmer has another good game against the Patriots on Saturday, we're probably going to start to have conversations about him and Howell, whether or not Howell is going to maintain that 2nd string job or be dropped to a 3rd string. Because I don't think Howell's going anywhere, based off the fact that we traded for him, and he actually did perform pretty well in that first preseason game. But yeah, Max Brosmer looked pretty fucking good in that game. I'm excited by him and his potential going forward. Really excited to watch him. It's watching the 3rd string quarterback competition is, prime gooning for us degenerates.
Right. What I enjoyed most about watching your game was when JJ got onto the commentary. I mean, that was the best part.
Yeah, that's something they can carry in a row now. Yeah, last year they had KOC on for a quarter of one game, and then JJ on for a quarter of a game, and then this year they had JJ on for the 3rd quarter of our first preseason game, which is always fun to watch him and Paul Allen yak it up a little bit. He's a cool guy. Just makes you like him even more. So yeah,
that was the best part because at that point in the game, I had no vested interest really in either one of those teams, in the Texans and the Vikings. But because JJ was on the call with it, I stayed and continued to watch that game, because most of these preseason games, I'm going to watch the first half of most of these preseason games. Some of these other games, though, like when we're talking Titans, Buccaneers, I don't give 2 fucks about the end of their bench.
I gotta be honest, man. Again, I'm a degenerate. I watched every preseason game to completion over the past week.
Okay, listen, dog. It's late here. It gets real late here.
Look, I just can't help myself. Like I said, I'm a football degenerate when it comes to this stuff. So can't help it.
But hey, more games coming up starting tomorrow for the degenerates. What does the schedule look like?
Tomorrow we got Titans and Falcons for our early game, and Chiefs Seahawks for the later game of the evening. And then Saturday we have a big slate of games. Also 2 games Sunday and 1 game on Monday. So a lot of football this weekend.
See that Chiefs Seattle game? That starts at fucking 10 p.m. for me. I am not watching their fucking their third and fourth string guys for Kansas City and Seattle. I appreciate that you can do it, dog. But here out on the
I don't
East
watch
Coast,
them all live.
Okay.
I usually will watch at least one of the games that is live. But that's the beauty of having access to the NFL Network and being able to go back and watch those games. Something that I do to take up some of my time.
Hell yeah. And you got NFL Plus too?
No, I just got the YouTube whatever subscription.
Okay.
Shit.
NFL Plus lets you watch the all 22s. By the way, that's how I was watching them last year. So, very very cool little thing. But brother, we got anything else to talk about before we get the hell out of here?
No, man, I think that's about it. Just, you can gamble on these games if you want to. We aren't going to be bringing you any gambling action as of right now on these preseason games, but definitely know that we will come regular season.
We actually have to figure out how we're doing it. Are we doing just the spread again? Are we doing any bet? How are we tracking this? We got some work to figure out because
we will
the season is quick approaching.
Yeah, we'll have announcements on how it's going to be set up. Look, I'm a month away from going to Minnesota to watch the home opener on Sunday Night Football versus the Falcons, bringing Hannah to her first professional football game. Super excited about that. That's cool to think it's only a month away.
That's gonna be super sick. Man, I got tickets for Bills Browns here in Cleveland, December 21st. Right now, I think is when it is. So
nice.
Very pumped for that. See little Josh Allen. Hopefully, watch the Browns beat them, but that's going to be a game.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, this is Raw Dawg Sports. I am Mike. Actually, hold on. Before we do that, let's go ahead and rewind it. Before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you to all you guys. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. Anytime you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. Evo, give the people one last word.
If you're getting upset about male dancers out on the football field, again, you probably have more of a different concern other than with the football team, and you should probably talk to someone about that.
Yeah, agreed. It's okay to be gay. Guys, this is Raw Dawg Sports. I'm Mike. That's Evo. We'll see you next week. See ya.